ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता शिवशाखान्वितं च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी शबानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकारि। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणं। परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसूप्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणां नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं। जयदं सुहृदो पङ्गुर् मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पादाम्बुजो राधामदनमोहनो तमादिदेवं करुणानिधानं तमालवर्णं सुहृदावतारम् अपार संसार समुद्र सेतुं भजामहे भागवत स्वरूपम्। परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षीक्षराय दे सर्वदा सर्वसे श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुमे। गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा हरि ओम तत्सत हरि बोल। So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, fifth chapter, 12th sloka onwards. नैष्कर्म्यम् अभ्यच्युत भाववर्जितम् न शोभते ज्ञानमलं निरञ्जनम् कुतः पुनः शश्वतभद्रमीश्वरे न चार्पितं कर्म यदप्यकारणम्। नैष्कर्म्यमप्यच्युत भाववर्जितम् न शोभते ज्ञानमलं निरञ्जनम् कुतः पुनः शश्वतभद्रमीश्वरे न चार्पितं कर्म यदप्यकारणम्। मयूरी माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। नैष्कर्म अप्यच्युत भाव वर्जितम न शोभते ज्ञानमलं निरंजनम कुतः पुनः शश्वत भद्रमीश्वरे न चार्पितं कर्म यदप्य कारणम।
बोल अंदर माता जी।
हाँ, हरे कृष्णा। नैष्कर्म्यमप्यच्युत भाववर्जितं न शोभते ज्ञानमलं निरञ्जनं कुतः पुनः शश्वत् भद्रमीश्वरे न चार्पितं कर्म यदप्यकारणम्।
जो है माता जी। म्यूट आनो ട്ടോ.
हरे कृष्णा। नैष्कर्म्यमच्युत महद्वर्जितं नाशोपित ज्ञानमलं निरञ्जनं कृत्वा पुनः शाश्वत भद्रमीश्वरे नापार्पितं कर्म यद्यप्य कारणम्।
Krishna and Kapil Prabhu translation please.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanvat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
1 second. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord?
Haribol. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities, which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service? So the discussion between Narada Maharshi and Vyasadeva is about the transcendental literature composed by Vyasadeva. He was not at all happy even after compiling so much of Vedic literatures. He was discontented, he was dejected, he was despondent. So why he was despondent, why he was dissatisfied, Narada Maharshi is telling. So here, in this particular verse, it is said that even if it is a transcendental literature, if it is devoid of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, it's of no use. Does not look well if devoid of conception of info. So if it is not pertaining to the devotional service of Lord, even if it is transcendental literature, it's of no use. Then what to speak of fruitive activities, mundane literature? Okay, we have so much of mundane literature in this world. Every day we are getting new books. How we can satisfy our senses, how we can improve our sense gratification. So this is not taking us anywhere. So what to speak of transcendental literatures devoid of devotional service? That also is of no use. So what is lacking in Vyasadeva's compilation of spiritual literature is that he has not adequately glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his Leelas. That's why he's dejected or despondent. So even if it is about the Supreme Personality of Godhead's impersonal Brahman activities or feature, impersonal Brahman feature, it is not going to give you any satisfaction to the heart. Unless and until it is given, it is narrated about the devotional service of the Lord. That's what it is mentioned here. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from material infinity. It is not about the material activities or material subject matters. It is about transcendental matter, but it's about impersonal Brahman realization, the feature of impersonal Brahman. It is not going to give us any satisfaction to the heart. So what to speak of fruitive activities? Literatures pertaining to fruitive activities. That's the question. So what then is the use of fruitive activities, which are naturally painful? It will bring only pain to us. How? Because by reading that, our mind will get agitated. So if it is agitated, it is good or bad? It brings pain, sorrow, not pleasure. Okay. Whereas any subject matter, any transcendent subject matter, with the description of Supreme Lord and his pure devotees' activities, it gives pleasure to the heart. It should be devotional activities, not about Brahman. Brahman, there is no activity. It is inert. Anybody who gets liberated from this material world, go to the Brahman or Brahma Jyoti. There are no activities, no devotional activities. So they will be having peace of mind. They will not have pleasure there. We will get pleasure only when we do service, devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are provided with all the necessities of life. We are giving good food, accommodation, and clothing and everything. But there are nobody to relate to, there are nobody to talk to, do you find pleasure? Kapil Prabhu, you have all the facilities there in your room now. Okay?
No.
Your family is not there. You cannot talk to them. How do you
Yeah,
feel?
Prabhu. Yeah, correct, Prabhu. We are missing. It does not give.
So there should be somebody to relate to, somebody to talk to, somebody to share. You have got all the facility. You have timely food, you have clothes, you have good shelter, everything is there. But you have nobody to talk to or discuss. Similarly, the Brahman realization is also like that. Brahman realization is something like a place you are getting all the comfort and facilities, but there is no one to talk to, no one to, interact or reciprocate with. So only when it is combined with devotional services, where Adan Pradan, reciprocation between devotees and the Supreme Lord, will find blissful state of mind or pleasure. So this is what Narada Maharshi is pointing out to Vyasdeva. You have compiled everything, very nice, good. But what is lacking in that is no glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no way that you can reciprocate with the Supreme Lord. Okay, the devotees of Supreme Lord wants to serve the Supreme Lord, okay, and give pleasure. That is the only intention. The gopis of Vrindavan want to satisfy the Supreme Lord, even at the cost of undergoing so much of difficulties themselves. They want to serve the Supreme Lord and please the Supreme Lord. So when they are doing that, the Supreme Lord in return, what he does, he wants to satisfy and give more pleasure than what he gets to the devotees. So there is a competition going on. When devotees want to satisfy Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord wants to satisfy more than what devotees does to him. And at the same time, the devotees give more pleasure to Supreme Lord. Then in return, the Lord gives more pleasure. So there is a transcendental competition going on between the devotees and the Supreme Lord. Who wants to give more pleasure to whom? There's a competition. So this is how. So selflessly, they want to serve the Supreme Lord. And Supreme Lord wants to serve his devotees, without any expectation. So this is really blissful state of mind. So as referred to above, not only ordinary literatures devoid of the transcendental glorification of the Lord are condemned, but also Vedic literatures and speculation on the subject impersonal Brahman when they are devoid of diversity. So we condemn the ordinary literatures, the mundane literatures, because it is dry. It doesn't give any satisfaction to our heart. It only contaminates, it only agitates our heart. So agitating our heart means we have to undergo pain. Okay. Similarly, even it is transcendent literatures, if it is devoid of devotee service, it's also of no use. Because it's talking only about Brahman, not about the personality of Godhead. Only when there is a person we can relate to. Only when there's a person we can do service. But here, in the Brahman realization, the person aspect is not there. Only the Brahman aspect is there, where we cannot have any dealings at all. So that's why it is said here that if transcendent literature is devoid of devotional service, it is similar to the fruitive activities. It's similar to that. So when speculation on the impersonal Brahman is condemned on the ground and on the above ground, then what to speak of ordinary fruitive work? Even the the impersonal Brahman is condemned. The speculation on the impersonal Brahman is condemned. So what to speak of the fruitive activities? Literatures regarding the fruitive activities or mundane spiritual as mundane literatures. Such speculative knowledge and fruitive work cannot lead one to the goal of perfection. Fruitive work in which almost all people in general are engaged is always painful, either in the beginning or at the end. So when we talk about the fruitive activities, it is always painful. We think that we are having some happiness. Okay, it is just a misconception. It's just a misconception. We are not happy at all. So it is not only painful at the beginning, it is also painful at the end, because we have to go through a lot of turmoil from start to end. If it is material activities, fruitive activities, we expect that good result. We expect happiness or blissfulness, but we don't get it. We always have to undergo painful situations, starting to end. It can be fruitful only when made subservient to the devotional service of the Lord. So, how we can make it fruitful? Only when we do devotional service. We have to always serve the Supreme Lord for His satisfaction, not for our satisfaction. Even if we have to undergo, now we are doing little devotional service. We are not pure devotees. We are trying to practice devotional service. So, to please the Supreme Lord, we may have to undergo some difficulties, some voluntary inconvenience, such as getting up early in the morning, reading Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavad Gita, associating with devotees, going to Dham. This may give some inconveniences to our body, isn't it? Because we have to get up early in the morning, which generally nobody wants to get up, because that is the time we want to sleep nicely. Cover with blanket and nicely in full AC, sleep. That time we don't want to get up. Either it is too hot or it is too cold. We don't want to get up. So, just keeping aside all this discomfort, we get up and do our devotional service selflessly to please the Supreme Lord. So, when we please the Supreme Lord, as I told you earlier, the Supreme Lord also will reciprocate in the same coin, or in a better way. Then we also will, because He has given to us so much, so we should also give Him. So that is how there is a constant competition between the Lord and the devotees. Who is better in serving whom? So there we are always blissful. Whereas the mundane activities, the fruity activities, starting to end, it gives only pain, because it is devoid of devotional services. So in the Bhagavad Gita also it is confirmed that the result of such fruitive work may be offered for the service of the Lord. Otherwise, it leads to material bondage. Yeah. So the main point is that our devotional service is not for our pleasure. We should not do devotional service to satisfy our senses, rather to satisfy the senses of the Supreme Lord. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti uchyate. Without having any upadhis, I am doctor, I am accountant, I am engineer, I am this, I am that. No upadhi. We should have no upadhi, no designation. I am rich, I am poor, I am white, I am black. No. We should have no upadhis at all. And selflessly we have to service. Tat paratvena dharmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruti. So with our senses, we should serve the master of the senses. That is the Uttama Bhakti. Sevanam bhaktir uchyate. That is the topmost bhakti or devotional service. We should not try to serve our senses, rather serve the senses of the master. That is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So when He is satisfied, definitely we being the parts of the Supreme Lord will also be satisfied. So in the Bhagavad Gita also it is confirmed that the result of such fruitive work may be offered for the service of the Lord. Otherwise it leads to material bondage. So if we are trying to satisfy our senses, please our senses, what happens? What is the result? We are bound to this material world again and again. We have to come back. There will be no end to this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. But on the contrary, if we are trying to satisfy the senses of Rishikesha, then this will be our last birth in this material world. We will be taken back home, back to Godhead by His mercy. The bona fide enjoyer of the fruitive work is the personality of Godhead. Bhoktaram etnya tapasa. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram itni sabsam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhurdam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shanti. Who can get peace of mind? Who will be having peace of mind? Who knows that all the bhokta, the beneficiary or benefactor of all the yajna and tapas, sacrifice and austerity, that is Supreme Lord Krishna. Sarva Loka Maheswaram. He is the master, proprietor, controller of all the lokas, both spiritual and material. Suhurdam Sarva Bodhanam. He is the friend of all living entities, not just human beings. He is a friend to all living entities, 84 lakhs. Such a person will be in peace of mind. Jnatva mam shanti ruchari, not otherwise. So here it is said, the bona fide enjoyer of the fruity work is the personality of God. He is the enjoyer. Nobody else. We are being enjoyed by him. So there's a difference between enjoyer and enjoyed. We are eating food. We are taking the rice or chapati or any other food to our mouth. And it goes to the stomach, right? That the whole parts of the body gets nourished. Similarly, we are satisfying the supreme whole. And we are his parts and parcel, his bodies. So we are also getting nourished and satisfied. So that's why it is said here, the bona fide enjoyer of the fruitive work is the personality of Godhead. Yajna Purusha. He is the Yajna Purusha. Yajna means sacrifice. So he is the enjoyer of all yajnas, Bhokta. And thus, when it is engaged for the sense gratification of the living beings, it becomes an acute source of trouble. So instead of satisfying the supreme proprietor, supreme controller, supreme master, and supreme enjoyer, we try to enjoy that. We try to partake that. Then we are thieves. We'll be subject to miseries. That's why it is said, it becomes an acute source of trouble. Suppose a servant is there who is working for the master. So the servant has to work according to the desire of the master. Instead of that, the servant is trying to satisfy himself, not satisfy the master. What will happen? The master will sack him, fire him. Now we are all working in some companies, right? According to whose desire are we working? According to our boss' desire, not according to my desire. I am employed in a company. I want to satisfy the desires of my employer, not whimsically work on my own wish. Can we do that? No. Similarly, the supreme enjoyer, the supreme master, the supreme controller, the supreme proprietor is Krishna. We have to work for him, not work for our senses. So that is what it's very clearly mentioned. The bona fide enjoyer of the fruity work is the personality of Godhead, and thus, when it is engaged for the sense gratification of the living beings, instead of satisfying the supreme enjoyer, we try to enjoy separately from Krishna. It becomes an acute source of trouble. That brings us trouble. That brings us back to this material world to undergo the repeated cycle of birth and death. So text 13. Atvo mahabhag bhavanamokadrek sujishravas satyarato dhridhavrata urukramasyakhila bandhamuktade bhuktaye samadhina nusmaratadvicheshtritam ato mahabhaga bhavanamokadrek sujishravas satyarato dhridhavrata urukramasyakhila bandhamuktade Samadhina Nusmara Tadvijeshthidam. Okay. Sinimadaji, can you please?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. अधो महाभाग भवान् अमोघदृक् शुचि श्रवा सत्यरतो वृता उरुक्रमस्याखिल मुक्तये समाधीनानुस्मर तद्विचेष्टितम्. हरे कृष्ण.
Very good. Okay, then Vivek Prabhu, can you read the translation, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Oh Vasudeva, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness. And thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage.
Very good. So Narada Maharshi is here explain to Vyasadeva how you can bring what do you call it? How you can take them back home back to Godhead instead of undergoing the repeated cycle of birth and death. How you can do good to the general people. Oh Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. Narada Maharshi is appreciating. Even if disciples, the spiritual master won't try to find fault. Even if there are a lot of faults, the spiritual master, the seniors, they try to find out some little good what they have done, and they try to magnify it. That is how we should inspire others. Now, there are some people who tries to find out only faults and highlight that. But spiritually cultured people, spiritually advanced people, they will try to find out some little good even in among portion of faults, and they try to magnify so that they get inspired and they will progress in spiritual life. So here Narada Maharshi is also glorifying Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is already spotless, we know it, but still that is how it should be. It's telling your vision is completely perfect. Your vision is completely perfect. You are not an ordinary person. Your good fame is spotless. You are famous throughout the world because you are not an ordinary person. You are an incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Shakti Avatara, he knows that. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness. You have very good conviction and you are always situated in truthfulness. And thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general from all material bondage. So you are able to meditate, and in your trance, you can very well imagine, you can very well get the knowledge of pastimes of the Supreme Lord, everything in trance. Just by meditation, they will be able to see things, what's happening about spiritual world, the activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything. In meditation, they can experience that. So you have that capability, you have that ability to do that. And that in turn will help the people to liberate from this material bondage. So if you give this knowledge to the general people, they'll practice. Now what you have done is you have given knowledge, but it is not allowing the general people to get out of the middle existence. Now what he has given is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So if you read those literatures which are dealing in these four religious principles, that is dharma, artha, kama, moksha, people will get stuck here in this material world because we are following dharma to get artha. And when we get artha, we are trying to do kama, perform desires, fulfill our material desires. And the material desires are such, it never gets satisfied. And liberation is a far thing for all of us. because we'll get stuck up there in fulfilling our material desires. So far you have compiled about 4 subject matters, 4 religious principles, that is dharma, artha, kama, moksha, which will never help us to, which will never help the general people to go back home, back to God. So now that you are a spotless person, your vision is complete and perfect. So try to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead's pastimes, which alone has the potency to liberate the general people. That is what my advice is. That is what Narada Maharshi is telling Vyasadeva. People in general have a taste for literatures by instinct. They want to hear and read from the authorities something about the unknown, but their taste is exploited by unfortunate literatures which are full of subject matter for satisfaction of the material. We all have some taste to read books and to get more information. We are all inquisitive, curious to know about this nature, about the different species of life, all these things, about the universes. But unfortunately, we are, totally covered by Maya and want to enjoy the senses by reading mundane literatures instead of spiritual literatures. So that is our unfortunate situation. Nobody is there to guide us, then we'll find pleasure in satisfying our senses by reading the mundane literature, which will only agitate our mind and which will only keep us in this material world, bound to this material world again and again. So such literatures contain different kinds of mundane poems and philosophical speculations, more or less under the influence of Maya, ending in sense gratification. So there are so many literary personalities who have written novels and stories, and they have got big awards also, Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, Jnanapith, everything. But it is not going to help us. It is only satisfy senses, nothing more than that. There is no spiritual content, and it will not help us to go back home, back to Godhead. Such literatures contain different kinds of mundane poems and philosophical speculations, more or less under the influence of Maya. Maya means that which is temporary, that which is not permanent, ending in sense gratification. That will only help us to satisfy our senses. These literatures, although worthless in the true sense of the term, are variously decorated to attract the attention of the less intelligent man. It is worthless because it is not having any devotional content. Only it is just a decoration on a dead body. What's the use of decorating a dead body? It has no life. Okay? The person has left already. The soul has already left. And if you are putting a lot of ornaments and putting dress and putting perfume and cosmetics, is there any use? No use. Similarly, all these mundane literatures are just like decoration on dead body, because it is not allowing us to go back to our original position, go back home, back to Godhead. Although worthless in true sense of the term, are variously decorated to attract the attention of the less. So people of less intelligence are attracted by such decoration because it gives us sense gratification. That is what we want. We don't know the higher sense gratification. The higher sense gratification is satisfying the senses of the Supreme Lord, whereby we reinstate into our position. We get back to our status quo. That is, we are Jivera Surupoi, Krishna Nityadas, and we are supposed to be there with the Supreme Lord, serving him. We'll get that position. So thus the attracted living entities are more and more entangled in the material bondage without hope of liberation for thousands and thousands of generations. Because we are stuck in this material world in the in the allurement of Maya, reading such literatures, will be stuck and will be bound to this material world for thousands and thousands of generations. Sri Narada Rishi, being the best amongst the Vaishnavas, is compassionate towards such unfortunate victims of birthless literatures, and thus he advises Sri Vyasadeva to compose trans literature which is not only attractive but can also actually bring liberation from all kinds of bondage. So Narada Maharshi, being very compassionate to fallen souls like us, is requesting Vyasadeva to please compile literatures that glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees, the pastimes, the qualities, the form, everything. Then that will only help us to get out of this material existence. So because of this compassionate nature, he is requesting Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva and his representatives are pure in thought due to their spiritual enlightenment, fixed in their vows due to their devotional service, and determined to deliver the fallen soul floating in the material level. So compassionate, the Vaishnavas are so compassionate that they don't want to see the general people suffering. They cannot see that. So they are trying their level best to take us away from this material world. But unfortunately, we are enjoying this material world and the senses of our body so much so that we have no taste for spiritual subject matters or devotional services. And because of which we are rotting in this material world, birth after birth. The fallen souls are very eager to receive novel informations every day, and the transcendentalists like Vyasadeva or Narada can supply such eager people in general with unlimited news from the spiritual world. Okay, here people like us are very eager to get newer and newer information every day. So here Vyasadeva and Narada Maharshi, such personalities have a lot of news for us. Everyday news, everyday new leelas about the Supreme Personality. So when we hear that, when we discuss about such matters, we'll be blissful always. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the material world is only part of the whole creation. Ekam Shena Siddho Jagat. Okay, this Jagat, this material world is just a fragmental part of the whole creation. The material world is only part of the whole creation. And that this earth is only a fragment of the whole material world. The whole material creation is just a fragmental part. And what is our position? The earth. The position of the earth is just, very tiny, very, very tiny. In this whole material creation, the position of earth is negligible. Very, very tiny. There are thousands and thousands of literary men all over the world, and they have created many, many thousands of literary works for the information of people in general for thousands and thousands of years. So there are this mundane literatures in abundance from time immemorial. We have got so much of mundane literatures for the information of people. This is not from recent time, from time immemorial, from so many thousands of years. Unfortunately, none of them have brought peace and tranquility on the earth. So these mundane literatures could not bring peace and tranquility on earth. So who can do that? Only compassionate people like Vyasadeva and Narada, through the medium of spiritual literatures, can help us. Peace and tranquility. This is due to spiritual vacuum in those literatures, because it is full of mundane matters, subject matters. It doesn't have any spiritual value. Therefore, the Vedic literatures, especially the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, are specifically recommended to suffering humanity to bring about the desired effect of liberation from the pangs of material civilization, which is eating the vital part of human energy. So the only way, the only solace, the only remedy to come out of this material affliction is Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and such spiritual literatures. Otherwise, the other literatures is eating the vital part of human energy. That's what Prabhupada says. If we spend time reading such literatures, we are simply wasting our human life. Our energy is wasted, our time is wasted, and we have to undergo so many lives before we get to the spiritual world. The Bhagavad Gita is the spoken message of the Lord Himself. It is spoken directly by the Supreme Lord. It has come, it is emanated from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Himself. It's not through somebody else. He Himself speaks. Most of the scriptures in this material world, and apart from what we have, this Bhagavad Gita, it's all revelations. It's all revelations, revealed to somebody. Some special personalities, some acharyas. But this is only one literature which is directly spoken by the Supreme Personality. Is there any such literatures? No. Directly from the lotus mouth of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. That's why it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita is spoken message of the Lord Himself, recorded by Vyasadeva, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental narrations of the activities of the same Lord Krishna, which alone can satisfy the hankering desires of the living being for eternal peace and liberation from miseries. So take any literature, spiritual literature of this material world. No literature is directly spoken by the Supreme Lord. Everything is created by some exalted personalities or revealed to them, as revealed to them. But here is one literature, that is Srimad Bhagavad Gita, is directly spoken by the Supreme Lord. So Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, is meant for all living beings all over the universe for total liberation from all kinds of material burden. And Bhagavatam is also by his own incarnation, Vyasadeva, and it contains the transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Transcendental narrations. So such transcendental narrations of the pastimes of the Lord can be described only by liberated souls like Vyasadeva and his bona fide representatives who are completely immersed in the transcendental loving service. This cannot be compiled or composed or written by ordinary personalities who are totally involved in material activities under the influence of three modes of material nature. It has to be by exalted devotees like Vyasadeva. That is what is mentioned here. Only to such devotees do the pastimes of the Lord and their transcendental nature become automatically manifest by dint of devoted service, because they are totally into the devoted service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, they will be enlightened by the blessings of the Supreme Lord. So they will be able to give the right knowledge, the right path, the right direction, without which we won't be able to digest anything. Okay? Only by their mercy, by their compassion, we will know what is what. No one else can either know or describe the acts of the Lord. Only pure devotees. Pure devotees only can describe the activities of the Supreme Lord. No one else. Even if they speculate on the subject for many, many years. The descriptions of the Bhagavatam are so precise and accurate that whatever has been predicted in this great literature about 5,000 years ago is now exactly happening. So Bhagavatam is, there are certain incidents foretold. When Vyasadeva wrote this 5,000 years ago, certain incidents have not happened. For example, whatever is happening now is foretold 5,000 years before. Okay, about the appearance of the incarnations like Lord Buddha. It was foretold before 5,000. Lord Buddha had not come that time, isn't it? Kalki has not come, he's going to come. That's also predicted. Lord Buddha's incarnation is also predicted. And so many exalted personalities like Adi Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, they're all predicted that they're going to come. So Bhagavatam is giving us the right information. It's not a fiction. It's not a story. So therefore, the vision of the author comprehends past, present, and future. There are exalted personalities, there are transcendental personalities, they are Trigalatjnanis. They can see past, present, and future. Otherwise, how can they give this information to all of us? They are blessed with knowledge. In their transcendental meditation, they will be able to know what happened in the past, what is happening now, and what will happen in the future. They are called Trigalatjnanis. Such liberated persons as Vyasadeva are perfect not only by the power of vision and wisdom, but also in oral reception, in thinking, feeling, all other sense activities. Just imagine, somebody has told us yesterday something. We won't have the memory to recollect and produce it exactly what they have said. Can we? That is our position. But Vyasadeva has the capacity of oral reception also. If somebody has told him, something, he can reproduce that exactly how he heard it from them. If I tell you one sentence and ask you to repeat, you won't be able to do that, nor I. Forget about you. I myself won't be able to repeat the same sentence what I have told you. That is our power of memory. Isn't it? Even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, he could reproduce whatever he had read, so many days back or years back. He could reproduce exactly what he has read. That was his ability. That is that photo memory, something like that. Okay, if I read a passage, and ask me to read it without seeing that, can I do that? No, it's not possible. But in the olden days, they were so intelligent, their memory power was so sharp that it was not necessary to write down. Everything was received orally, verbally, and they had the intelligence to store it and reproduce it. But as the time progressed, as we entered into Kali Yuga, that memory power is lost, intelligence is lost. So Vyasadeva had to put everything in record. That's why it's mentioned here, oral reception, wisdom, but also in oral reception, in thinking, feeling, and all other sense activities. Senses were so perfect. So a liberated person possesses perfect senses. So what is the difference between an ordinary person and a devotee, a liberated person? What's the basic difference? Can anyone say? Who is a liberated person?
Self-realized soul.
Hmm?
Self-realized soul.
Self-realized, yes, very good. Yes. What else?
Detached, Prabhuji, liberated soul will be detached to the
Yeah,
material.
liberated soul is detached. Okay, then what else?
Devotee is doing every work keeping the God in the center, and normal person is doing everything for its sense enjoyment.
Okay, very good. A liberated person is above the three modes of material nature. Is guna atit. Is not coming within the three modes of material nature. Okay, and moreover, we all have four defects, right? What are the four defects that we have? The 4 defects. For what?
जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि को
No, that is not defects.
Disease.
Imperfect senses, committing mistakes, cheating propensity, subject to be illusion. You forgot? These are the 4 defects we have. Our senses are not perfect. Can you give an example? Our senses are not perfect. Can you give some example? Any one example?
Prabhuji, like we have a vision.
Yeah, we should.
defect,
Yes.
Vision.
We see the sun and moon. What is the size of the sun and moon when we see? Size of a puppet. Right? But is that the size of the moon or sun? But when we see, our vision is so imperfect. We see only the sun and moon just the size of a puppet. So we know that our vision is imperfect. Similarly, hearing, okay, smelling, touching, everything are imperfect. Nothing is perfect. So whatever we see or hear or experience through our gross material senses, it may or may not be correct. It may or may not be. Sometimes, yes, our senses can perceive certain things, but sometimes our senses cannot perceive certain things. That's why it is imperfect. And we have a cheating tendency. We have a cheating tendency and we commit mistakes. We are not mistakes free. And we are subject to be illusion. Because we have these 4 defects, whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever we do, this may or may not be perfect. Okay. That's why here it said liberated person possesses perfect. But a person who are liberated from these 3 modes of material nature and is in transcendental stage, they are having perfect senses. They don't commit mistakes. They don't cheat. They are not subject to be illusion. So whatever they write, whatever they say, whatever they do, everything is perfect. Just like Supreme Lord Krishna. They're equal. Krishna is liberated. Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto. He is pure, completely pure. He is always liberated. So he has no such problems. Similarly, his pure devotees who are on transcendental platform, who are already liberated from this material world, who are above the 3 modes of material, are also perfect in their senses. They don't commit mistake, they don't cheat, and they're not subject to be illusion. That is the reason whatever Vyasadeva is writing is perfect and complete, because he is not influenced by the 3 modes of material nature. How we are influenced like that. He is above. He is Gunatit. So whatever he has compiled, all the literatures are beyond any errors, beyond any mistakes. Everything is perfect. So that's what here Prabhupada says. A liberated person possesses perfect senses, and with perfect senses only can one serve the sense proprietor, Rishikesha, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, is a perfect description of the all-perfect personality of Godhead by the all-perfect personality, Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Vedas. Because it is compiled by a personality who is not influenced by the 3 modes of material nature, he is able to give us the topmost right information without any flaw, without any errors. All other personalities may or may not give the right information because they are under the influence of the three modes of material nature. So Bhagavatam is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, a liberated personality, incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead, a perfect person. That's why we are getting the perfect information, perfect knowledge, which alone can deliver us from this material world. Kapil Prabhu, yes, Prabhu, you have something?
Yeah, Prabhuji, which four defects can you repeat again?
Okay. Imperfect senses,
Okay. Okay, Prabhu.
cheating propensity,
Yes, tendency to commit mistake.
committing mistakes, and subject to be illusioned.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay, noted. Thank you.
So these are the four defects of all the people in the material world who are within the three modes of material nature. Those who are liberated, people like Vyasadeva, they doesn't come under this. They are above. So if I give you an information, it may or may not be true because I'm under Maya's clutches and I'm influenced by Maya's energy and I have these four defects. May or may not. Any mundane persons. But a pure devotee, a liberated person like Vyasadeva and other exalted devotees, whatever they say, it is beyond these four defects and it is true. We can take it for the face value. Okay, so text 14 is next week. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय जय गो प्रेम हरे कृष्णा।